sell it myself. And I said, why don't you do just that?
Oh my God, I was waiting for it. I
It's
was
like,
waiting for
I
it.
don't have to take that, you know?
Amen. I mean, I just there are just a lot of stressed out, angry people is the only thing I can think. And
Well, I mean, I can't control the market. It's dropping like a flipping elevator,
yeah.
you know? And they don't understand. They won't listen to my advice. They do their own thing. And then when it doesn't work, it's my fault.
Well, and there was a time when the answer to you and I would both be, you know what? Hang on here. I mean, Richard, you didn't do a good job. Barb didn't do a good job of managing expectations. I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is it doesn't matter what you say. There are going to be people who they come up with their own beliefs no matter what. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I thought at the very beginning, you put the price up here and nobody wants that. Okay, lower it a little bit. And then eventually we'll get somebody who'll take the price. And that's got to be, a good way to do things, right? Well, that's what I thought, but it turns out I was
The worst
wrong
way.
on that. I
Yeah.
was wrong on that. And the only reason I know I was wrong on that is because of you. So I think whoever that woman is ought to realize that she's, I don't know, lucky to have you. Did she say anything when you said, yeah, just maybe you ought to do that yourself?
No answer.
Yeah. They don't like that because then it scares the hell out of them that now all of a sudden, holy cow, if she just decides to
And
follow
I'm
you,
totally okay with that if that's what they decide to do. It'd be like,
right?
fine. It just suits me fine. That's the one benefit I have being a service provider is that I could say no.
I, both of my kids, are I think starting to learn a little that medicine is not going to be the way it was when your mom was practicing. And part of that is there's nowhere close to the respect that doctors used to get from other doctors, from nurses, from patients, and from all of it.
Really?
And that just means that you're going to have to deal with a lot of people who are going to be rude. They're going to, second guess every damn thing that you do because they looked it up on what is that thing? MedMD or some damn thing, which I have looked up those things myself sometimes. So,
Yeah, the internet's their doctor.
yeah. And the real estate agent, I suppose, too, right?
Right. Zillow.
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll count us down in. Yeah, I'm drowning paperwork here. 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb is a retired Navy veteran. Barb Schlinker is an author. Barb's also a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have got to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just search for Barb. You'll find her on all of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of the largest assets, the home. So, Barb, what are we covering today?
Well, Richard, the first thing is really kind of giving you a more or less a broad overview of what the market is doing and why some home sellers, when they go on the market and they're expecting a price that maybe their neighbor's house sold for 6 months or a year ago and it's not working, they look to us and think that we're making mistakes. But there is a way that you properly sell homes when market values are dropping, and they are dropping big time, like 4 to 5% just in the last couple of months. So, what does that mean if you need to sell now? We know exactly what to do, and we're going to talk about that. The next topic is how smart sellers receive multiple offers, even in a declining market. There's a way you do it, and you can kind of beat this market drift that's going on, and it works just about every time. So I'm excited to talk about that. And the third topic is what if you don't want to deal with the normal sales process of showing and listening to feedback and negotiating with buyers that have unrealistic expectations and contract failures, all these nightmares that take place once you do accept a contract is not the ideal scenario for a lot of home sellers. So, how do you sell a home that way? Well, you could do it with our multiple cash offers that we offer both locally and not locally to help home sellers make that move basically with the easy button. And the last but not least topic is about the top 5 seller mistakes that repel buyers from your home. Now, that word's pretty strong, don't you think, Richard?
That is very strong. And if you're using it, it must mean something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it happens all the time, and I don't think they even realize that they're doing it. So I'm excited of talking about that subject. And as always, about my hot new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, with the rates still going higher, there are fewer buyers that can afford a home right now. How do you sell a home when there are fewer buyers to choose from?
Well, Richard, you're right about the rates. When I checked this morning, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate for conventional was up over 6.71%. VA government loans are about 6.3 to 6.35%. And what we're seeing is an opposite reaction to the buyer demand. Buyers buy on payment and on affordability. So if they can, a lot of people would love to buy a home. It's just that they can't afford it right now is the problem, because the rates are so high, their payment is higher than they can stand. So I did a little research to find out what is going on across the board, just used El Paso County as a benchmark, but I'm seeing very similar activity all along the Front Range, where basically the median asking price since just April, that's just a few months ago, has dropped about $20,000. That's a good 4%. At the same time, the number of available homes, called inventory, has gone up. And it kind of translates to the number of sales that are happening right now. We saw pretty good number of sales start off in the spring, but when the rates started going up, the number of sales started trending down. Even in Douglas County, if you compare the median asking price to the asking price right now, the drop is about $40,000. Pueblo, the prices are super flat. And so, what are people doing to sell homes? Well, either they are pricing it very realistically, or what we're seeing the builders do, which has been really successful for them, is they're offering massive incentives. So imagine this, Richard. You have a home, it's worth 500,000, but you just have to build into your budget that you're going to give the buyer about 5% in concessions, including closing costs, interest rate buy downs, stuff, landscaping, window covering, and fries with that too. What do you think about having to build that into your budget right now?
That would be stunning to me because I don't think people are used to that.
No, it's usually shocking. Just this morning, I presented an offer to a seller in about that price range. Buyer asked for 25,000 and seller paid closing cost, and their buyer agent wanted a big fat commission for the privilege of that. And the problem is, why does it have to come out of the seller pocket? So I get that question all the time. Why should I pay the buyer agent fee? Why should I pay their closing cost? Well, because it's the market and you don't have any other choices. At least they're coming close to paying your price. And a lot of people will factor everything in. Did they ask for a lower price? How much commission do they want for their agent? What do they want for closing cost? And it reduces the amount of money that they're going to take away from the sale. But I will tell you that if you don't do that right now in this market, your house is going to sit on the market. You're going to watch the prices slowly, gradually, even more faster as we go into the fall, drop like an elevator. And later down the road, when you haven't caught that fish, that ready, willing, and able buyer, you're going to net less money. So when you're in a declining market, there's a way to do it and there's a way to not do it. Most people do it the wrong way. So what I'm seeing in the builders is they're just offering up concessions. Oh, sure, we'll buy down your interest rate. We'll give you free landscaping, free window coverings, a garage door opener, and a refrigerator, washer, dryer. How do you like that? And the buyers are like, sure, I'm in. So that's starting to populate over to the existing resale market where the buyers are asking for personal property. The buyers are asking for massive concessions. I have one closing this week where the buyer basically presented a bunch of different repair requests that totaled about $200,000. So it was probably about a third of the cost of the home. But they said, okay, don't worry, seller. We're not going to ask you for that much. We're just going to ask for 22 repair items and give us 30,000 in cash and we'll go fix whatever we want to fix ourselves. Well, the problem with that is that the lenders will shut that down big time because anytime you give the buyer cash, they're like, well, wait a minute, are you incentivizing the buyer? How does that really affect the market value of the home? So if it's for a specific reason, that's okay. Like if the seller pays for a repair and or now what we're seeing is sellers are paying for improvements, or if the seller is paying the buyer's loan closing costs, which prevents the buyer from having to pay their loan closing cost. I just negotiated one today where the buyer said, okay, we'll take the house at that price, but the carpet's trashed. Will you pay $5,000 in our closing cost and we'll be able to go buy fresh carpet? So that was reasonable. When you start getting over 10, 15, 20, 25,000, not so much. And the buyers are the sellers in particular are very resistant to that. So if you run into a deal, by the way, where the seller is offering a VA assumable loan and the deal will work for you, please don't blow it up. I've seen it happen before. A lot of these veterans right now, and a lot of people in general, are sitting on very, very low interest rates. We have a 3% rate. They're calling that the golden handcuffs. Now, if that home seller has a VA loan, all VA loans are assumable, and you don't have to be a veteran to assume that VA loan. So you compare a 2.5% interest rate to the current rates, which are over 6.5. If you're able to make up that difference, which might be 80 or 100,000, walk into that VA loan, which already has been paid down by several years, and assume those much lower payments. The actual savings over the life of the loan as compared to the current market rates is about $500,000. It's almost like getting the house for free. So I've seen people blow up deals over Mickey Mouse repairs when they had an assumption deal like that. And I'm like, you're an idiot. I got the buyers. I'm going to go find another buyer for that house because those are not that tough to sell if it's priced right. And it's very important that you hire the right team that understands the market, understands the marketing, understands the market value, and knows how to deal with that situation. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. We're talking about how do you sell a home in a competitive market. And when we come back, we're going to touch on some great strategies that will help you sell your home in a market where the prices are declining. Richard?
Richard Randall, Barb, we're discussing how to get a house sold in a very competitive market. So, what should home sellers expect and do in a unique situation like this?
Well, just to set the stage, I've been doing this 30 years now, Richard, and I've watched the market values typically in a normal, balanced market. The prices go up. Probably in this market, it's been anywhere from 3 to 5% per year. There were, of course, a lot of bumps in those roads. 9/11 was a kind of pause bump. And then when we got to the meltdown in 2008, it dropped about 25%. Prices went way down. It was also government intervention. There were a lot of weird things going on then. But then afterwards, what the government did is they artificially paid down the interest rates, drove the interest rates down to zero and the mortgage rates down to 2 or 3%. So all of a sudden, buyers can afford homes because the interest rate means that their payment is going to be less than what they would pay for rent. So what happened was the housing prices drove up, not by 3 to 5% per year. It was more like 10, 15, sometimes 18%. And that started from 2017 and went all the way through the middle of 2022. So we saw this big 40% increase in market values. And then all of a sudden, overnight, the Fed raised the interest rates from 2.5%, 3% up to 6.5%, and the prices stayed the same. So all of a sudden, the buyers can't afford the higher price with the higher interest rate, and the sales dropped off. And now it's gradually correcting. The prices, it's starting to go faster and faster, but the prices are coming down. And we don't see that very often in this market, but I think it's just a moderate correction. And if you have to sell right now, you need to hire the right team that knows how to help you price it right so you get the most money in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. So if you are thinking of making a move, that's what we help people do every single week. Give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And remember, you can get in touch with Barb if you're thinking of making a move on the home and selling it at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how smart sellers receive multiple offers even in a declining market. Stay tuned for that. Wow, this is a pretty riveting show. I mean, I guess I didn't see this stuff coming.
Yeah, I'm
But you
being
know what?
brutally
I mean,
honest.
honestly, I'll tell you what's I think really good is I had no clue, and this is stunning, riveting, whatever, shocking, a lot of different things. However, to me, it just means over and over and over again. That's why somebody needs people like you, or I should say, that's why people need somebody like you, because this is nothing that I would want a rookie or somebody who's only sold a couple of homes in their life to be handling a situation like this. It seems like everything could go sideways if
Yeah.
they didn't
I
have
get
you.
calls every week, oh, my agent's not your agent's doing what they know,
Yeah.
which is not working.
And that's what I was thinking, hey, Barb, can you help, bail me out of this thing or something?
Yeah, I get a lot of bailout calls every single week,
Yep. I
but
don't blame them.
I can't do anything if they're tied to an agreement, until they are no longer in an agreement with that agent.
Wow.
So,
All right. I got segment 2. I'm ready to go.
ready?
Oh, David's not. First time in years that David wasn't, and it's probably because they're restarting they had this thing where we'll be going through things, and then somebody, another part of the building, decides to modify or update something, and they have to restart the computer, but they don't consider that them doing that, 3 offices away, impacts us in the studio. All right, he's good to go. I'll count this down.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice. The host is Barb Schlinker. I'm Richard Randall, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, with the market being a bit slower, what most home sellers are wondering right now, with the market slowing down, is it still possible to get multiple offers on my home?
Well, yeah, Richard, I still do it all the time. It's all about price. And if you price it right, the buyers will come. The buyers actually know more about market value for their little micro market of the price range and area of homes that they're looking for than anybody else, including and especially real estate agents. Um, and a lot of people, you know, don't realize that even the ugly homes sell. There's always a price. you know, I know I talk a lot about marketing and making sure the pictures look good and all that kind of stuff, but I have some listings that are not pretty, that are not in great shape. Some of them are post foreclosure, they've got walls torn out, they've got mold. They are selling with a bidding war. It's all about price, and there's a way to do it. I'm not saying you should, you know, price it like a house that needs a lot of work, but you should price your home according to whatever issues it has. As an example, if your home is next to another home and you have spectacular views and the other home, same size, similar home, does not, I already know the buyer's going to pay a premium for the house with views, but I would not price it higher for that reason. Because if you price it right on market value in that scenario, what's going to happen is the buyers are like, oh my God, I have to have it. And they come and make their best offer. Many times you'll see multiple offers in that scenario, and you'll end up getting the most money. The market always gravitates to what is full market value for that home. So you can either price your home to create massive, massive demand and lots of showings and have lots of opportunities for the buyers to want that home and compete with each other for the home. Or you can price it high and let people slowly wander through the house and pick it apart. And, well, I didn't like this, or I didn't like that, or, you know, when you do that, what happens is it's a clue that the house is not priced correctly, and you'll be able to see it within 2 weeks of going on the market. It is not mysterious, because there's always a pent up batch of buyers out there ready to pounce on anything new and anything that's attractive for them in their price range. So one of the biggest mistakes I see home sellers make when they price their home is they price it a little high for quote negotiating room. And that's a massive mistake, because what happens is the buyers see that and they see other homes that represent a better home in better condition at a better price, and they just move on to that home, and your home sits unsold. So that's not a good idea. And what happens is the showings start to, excuse me, the showings will slow down or become non-existent, or the buyers will give very uncertain, inconclusive feedback. The buyers will give very odd feedback, like, oh, I didn't like the floor plan. And I'm like, well, we published the floor plan. How did you not like the floor plan? You drove all the way out to see it. No, it's something else. And I think that's a real estate agent's lazy way out of answering it wasn't the right house for them. And if you end up chasing the market down, in other words, you price up here and that didn't work, and then you slowly go to here, and then you slowly go to here, according to the National Association of Realtors, not me, you're going to end up netting less money. If you want the most money, you got to price it aggressively out of the gate. So chasing the market down is not ideal. Also, got to talk about Zillow. Everybody thinks Zillow is the gold standard for homes, for home value, for homes for sale. And I'll be the first to admit, I know they have 65 to 70% of the buyer's eyes on that website. But where are they getting data? They're getting data from people like me who put homes on the market and market homes. I was actually looking at a home yesterday, Richard, with a seller, and his agent was doing what they normally do. You know, they put it in the Pikes Peak MLS. They follow all the rules exactly, and they share it with Zillow and Realtor.com and everybody else's websites. So I went and looked at just this website, just Zillow, to see how that home looked online. And I was going through the pictures, and I get all the way to the bottom, and the very last image was a link going, hey, new homes over here, click here, let me take you somewhere else to see these homes. That was on their own listing. So Zillow is trying to sell you to send you anywhere. They don't care about your houses. They don't know what your value is. They base their value on homes that have not sold, not the ones that have sold. A lot of people think they're the gold standard for value. A lot of people think that everybody cares about the number of views and saves, but at the end, it is an indication of interest, but it's not necessarily empirical data. And a lot of people don't realize that what Zillow really is, and this is going to, I am going to hear about this one. I believe all they are is a tech company that made billions of dollars as a lead generation platform for real estate agents. That's what they do. They take all the data they can, they plaster it on their website. They don't care if it's accurate or not. The stuff from the MLS has to be accurate because those are MLS rules. However, what they do is if a buyer raises their hand and says, they click on that little blue button, and the blue button says, oh, would you like a tour? The next tour is in 15 minutes. Well, guess what? The buyer wants the tour. They don't want a real estate agent. But when they click on that blue button, they're going to get a random real estate agent that has never seen the home, that doesn't know anything about the home, that can't be bothered to even read the description. And I call them Pop-Tart agents, that they get a lead. Oh my God, I'm paying for these Zillow leads. I'm going to Pop-Tart out of the toaster, show up at the house, open the door for the buyer, and hope the buyer likes it. They don't even have to verify that they can buy per state law. Is that insane, Richard? I mean,
That
you're opening up your beautiful home thinking that that buyer's showing up not only can afford the home, but that wants the home because of all the media that was put out by the listing agent. But heck no. You've got this overpaid door opener at the door doing the show up and hope game. Sorry, did I say that?
well, the truth is there are so many things wrong with that, and I think you're right, Barb. People have got a certain expectation. They hear Zillow and it's a gold standard and all of that, but you talk about it, and I start to realize, and I think other people realize, there are a lot of flaws and problems there. It's not what it is represented to be.
And you know what? There are many different ways to sell houses. Just as an example, I sold a couple of them in the last month, and they did not go on the market to the public. We already had our own buyers, and we took care of it, right? And the sellers were happy. The buyers were happy. Buyers are especially happy because they got exclusive access to these homes that were good buys in good locations. And they didn't have to deal with, these sellers didn't have to deal with unqualified buyers tromping through their house, leaving lights on and doors unlocked and using the bathroom and not flushing and all the things that they typically do. They didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. And we make that happen for our clients all the time. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how do you get multiple offers and have that certainty that your home is sold. And next up, what we're going to talk about is the way to get the best buyers into your home. It's not what you think. And then we'll talk a little bit more about pricing. Richard?
Richard Randall, you are listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and she is your home sold guaranteed realty. You can always reach Barb at 719-301-3900. And Barb, we're talking about how to get more than one offer on a home and be able to choose the very best buyer.
Well, Richard, it's not that easy to do it, but if you are the fortunate seller that's in the position where you can pick and choose your best buyer, oh my God, that is the catbird seat. You should be happy. So how do you do it? Number one, preparing, making sure that you have a strategy going in on how you're going to sell that home. Now, not everybody does it the same way, but generally, if you are priced right in the first 2 weeks of when you go on the market, that is the sweet spot where you're going to end up netting the most money. So, first of all, the pricing has to be positioned to attract not just one buyer, but multiple buyers. Then it should be promoted right. But I have sold homes and gotten multiple offers without any inside pictures, just because the way the house was right before we started showing, there was too much stuff. We couldn't really make the photos work. So we just tested it to see how would it how would it work out if we just did outside pictures and priced it realistically? It was the same result. We got multiple offers and it sold for over asking price. So to me, that's a clue. But how do you get the best buyers? Home sellers really aren't interested in dealing with random agents showing and agents beating them up on price and closing cost and repairs and on and on and on. To get the best buyer, at the end of the day, it's the seller that decides on the right price, right? And if the seller makes the right decision, all the stars will align. An example, I just sold one of my listings this past week where I already had a buyer. And so we were on the market and this buyer got in first. And I said, look, if you want to not have to compete with other buyers, you need to make your best offer. And they did, and the seller accepted it, and everything is going really well. We're already ready, basically pending, ready to close. And what happened is the seller priced it very realistically, but they ended up getting 10%, almost 10% more than asking price by doing that. That's the way you win. And I know it seems counterintuitive to a lot of people, but you want to make sure that you're picking the right agent that can walk you through that process. And if you don't want to deal with a traditional sale, we are one of the only brokerages in the state that will show up with multiple cash offers for your home. You could pick one of those. There aren't too many agents that show up with offers. It just doesn't happen that often. Most of the time, they might say, I have a buyer. I think I have a buyer. Wait for me. I have a buyer. What they really don't. We show up with actual offers, not just, I might have a buyer. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, give us a chance, and we will even guarantee a price range. If your home, we'll say, if your home doesn't sell within this price range, we will actually pay you the difference. Give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, host of the program. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to sell your home for cash without showings, stress, or contract failures. Barb will explain. She says she will.
Maybe.
And I gotta tell you, this is interesting stuff. I think just if people just said, so what's the one big takeaway you would have from Barb? I'd say, I think it is that time and time again, we'll be doing the show and we're talking, and something will come up and she'll start talking about it, and my reaction is just like other people. Hold on, that's just very counterintuitive. But it turns out that if you have the right agent, her name is Barb Schlinker, that you find out counterintuitive is actually what works because I've talked with people and they don't like this idea of just put your best offer out there at the very beginning. They still think, well, you put an offer and it's too low, and then they come back with one and you come back with one, and then you meet somewhere in the middle. I don't even know if that worked in the old days when there were only a buyer and a seller negotiating. But if you want multiple offers and you're bidding against other people, you know what you're talking
Kind of-
about. I guess what I'm
It's
saying,
kind of
Barb.
amazing to me that they don't always make their best offer, even when they know they have competition. I find that to be bizarre. If they really wanted the house, why are they waiting till later to go, oh, okay, I'll pay more? I don't get that's just, I don't know who taught him that, but I was talking to my son yesterday because I went, I just got to tell you a quick story. I went to Starbucks. Okay. The cost was $12.27.
For one?
No, I got
Okay.
a
Okay.
drink and
No,
some
no,
egg bites or something like that,
no, no. That's good. Yeah.
and a biscotti for the dog. He likes biscottis. And so I give the gal at the drive-through $20.27. While I was handing her the money, she dropped one of the pennies and kind of looked at me like, well, are you going to replace that? I'm like, oh, okay. So I dig a penny out of my wallet. I give her the extra penny, and she starts giving me some of the order. And then she handed me back my change of $7 and whatever it was, 27 cents, or no, $7.73. Right. So it's $12.27. I gave her 20.27, but she gave
That's
me the change for
$8.
a
Yeah.
20.
Oh gosh.
And I'm like, okay. I, I wasn't in the mood to argue. She probably would have had to call the manager, right? Because she'd already opened the cash register and reclosed it. You know what I'm saying? But it was
In fact, I do because that happens all the time. I know they're so addicted to just using an app or the phone or the cashier register, whatever the hell it is, tells them exactly this or this. You can make a game out of how easy it is to confuse somebody. A dollar back is pretty easy, but there have been times where I did something and it's just make it easy so they have to just give you quarters back or something like that.
right.
Oh
Just
my gosh.
here, give me just $8 even back. That's all I
Yep.
wanted. So
Yep.
I could give her a tip.
Yep.
And she couldn't figure it out. I'm like, it's sad.
And you know what? I always try to tip people, and that is exactly what throws things off. And they don't understand. The reason I'm asking you to give me change this way instead of, a $5 bill, please give me five singles. And, if I explain to them, well, part of it is because I'd like to give you a tip and I'm not going to give you $5,
Right.
then all of a sudden they have a little bit more motivation to try to figure it out. But,
But I'm just like,
whew,
most people can do that math in their head. It
yes,
wasn't complicated.
didn't used to be.
I don't know. It wasn't worth complaining about, but I was just like, oh boy, man, oh man.
Yeah, but it was worth bitching about on Tuesday, wasn't it?
I wasn't angry. I was just like, thinking that, okay, there's something wrong in the education process. There's
The
got to be.
times have changed. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I mean, I
Okay.
wish I could argue with you, but I can't. All right. Let's see. I'm ready for three. I'll count us down in three, two, one. I'm Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program. And this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, one of the biggest challenges for home sellers is that classic real estate catch 22. Having a house to sell before they buy their next home. How do homeowners that need to sell their house to buy the next house have certainty that their house will, in fact, sell when they want it to, and then they can move on to the other home instead of being in a hotel or living with somebody for weeks or months?
Well, Richard, I hate to break it to everybody, but The truth is, they don't get certainty with the traditional sales process. They just don't. There's so many opportunities for the buyer to bail out. I just had a townhome finally sell after 3 or 4 different contracts failing. One buyer bailed out because whatever I think they got um, picked up by ice. Another another buyer bailed out because he just changed his mind. He didn't tell us why. The third buyer went all the way through inspection, appraisal, almost ready to close. And all of a sudden, the lender decided the HOA didn't have enough insurance. That deal blew up. And finally, the sellers reduced the price substantially. And boom, we got a cash buyer and it finally sold. But there isn't a lot of certainty with the traditional sales process. And so people don't understand that. In their thought process, it's like, okay, I'm going to put my house on the market and it's going to sell, right? Everything's going to be fine. But at the end of the day, I have seen buyers walk from the table right before closing. And if we didn't protect the seller's earnest money for having their house off the market for a whole month plus, then they would have been left halfway moved out of their house with nothing. And I see that happen all the time. The way the state of Colorado has set up the contracts, the buyer could walk away at the closing table after you moved out. And if the agent doesn't protect you, guess what? You're stuck. You got to start all over and get a new buyer. So there isn't a whole lot of certainty in the process. What we sell is not fun most of the time. However, if you do it right, then the buyer is so engaged, so motivated to play the game. And sometimes you don't know who's running interference. Like I just finished negotiating with this one agent who is a legend in her own brain. She sent me probably a dozen different documents. She wasted all these contractors' time getting all these bids for repairs, and we want this and we want that. Oh no, we don't want 200,000. We want 30,000, you know. And so we're back and forth. So the seller gave her a logical answer. So, all right, we'll do these items. You know, reasonable, broken stuff we'll take care of. That's it. And the answer was, well, perhaps there's some confusion. You're confused about what we're asking for. I'm like, no, we can read. We're not confused. And it was this close to blowing up. And then I noticed that she finally asked her buyer. So I think she was involved with trying to get stuff. And that's what a lot of real estate agents think is their currency. That's the value they think that they bring to their buyers, is to get stuff, get concessions, get repairs, get money from the seller. That is their measurement of success. And sometimes they do it at such an extreme level, it causes them to potentially lose the contract, because the sellers get to a point where, hey, we've had enough. If you walk away, we'll get another buyer. Bye-bye. And that's almost what happened on this deal. It's almost what happened on one of my colleagues' deal. Sometimes the agents can create crazy town for no reason. So it's another thing that causes uncertainty. But what if you didn't have to deal with that? What if you just sold to a cash buyer? I've got one that's selling this week where the buyer came in. Here's our number. It's going to be cash. At closing, there's no loan. There's no appraisal. The inspection is, we're going to come and look at it. Okay, looks good. And by the way, at closing, leave whatever you don't want. So you don't even, that seller doesn't even have to move all their trash out of there. You know, that is some certainty. And that's really wonderful. And it works when you price the home properly. It works a lot with the cash offer programs as well. So what is the problem? If a home seller wants to make a move, right? They need their equity to buy their next home, but it's tied up in this kind of what they call dead equity. In other words, they don't get their hands on the money until their house sells, right? But there are other solutions. There are these buy before you sell programs. We have 8 different types of programs that we use. in which the seller can tap into their equity in different ways without selling their current home, without going in and making an offer contingent on their home maybe selling with the normal uncertain process, and without a bridge loan. And sometimes that whole process of doing the traditional sale thing really keeps people stuck. It prevents them from making their next move. The traditional agent says, don't worry, we'll either make an offer contingent on our home selling that's not even on the market yet. And I don't know where I'm going to price it, but it does have granite in there on the counters. I actually got that answer once, Richard. I asked her, where are you going to price that home? She goes, well, I don't know, but it has granite. Like, oh boy. She went on to price that home 125,000 over market value. I couldn't believe it. So, or they'll say, wait till you get your house under contract. So that's a little more certainty, right? You've accepted a contract. Now your buyer has to go through inspection, appraisal, and loan approval, right? So that's that problem. And then you have to go through inspection, appraisal, and loan approval. So there's still a lot of roadblocks in that process. But we have some other things, like a lot of home sellers worry very much about what's going to be my destination. Like people typically will not make a move if their destination is uncertain. So the moment they think about putting their house on the market, I watch them. They start looking for homes. They're already shopping. They've already picked out their next home, right? Before their home is even sold. And then they're looking to me like, hurry up, hurry up. We got to get this done, And I'm like, I'm going as fast as I can, but I need some help with you in pricing it so the market believes in paying that price in the traditional process. But there are different programs that we offer in which we can make that happen without a sale contingency and without worrying about all the landmines that you have to worry about. One example would be to pull your equity out without getting a loan. We also have 6 different buy before you sell programs where our lenders will come in and buy your next home for cash. And you don't have to make a payment for a couple of months. And then you can take your time selling your current home. That's awesome. So we'll go into a little bit of detail in the next little segment about the buy before you sell programs. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guarantee Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how do you overcome the uncertainty of the normal home sales process. And next up, we're going to cover some great ways that you can get multiple cash offers as well as our buy before you sell programs. Richard?
Barb, what are some more ways that home sellers can manage moving from one home to another without showings, without stress, and getting their old home sold on their very own timeline?
Well, Richard, I have quite a few home sellers that decide, hey, I'm not going to deal with that crazy town process that most people put themselves through. I just want a cash offer. I want the easy button. I want the done deal. Did you know that 30% of home sellers are opting for cash offers without going on the open market now? Did you realize it was that much?
30%?
Yeah.
No. I mean, we've been talking about it for a year or two now, and you are the queen of cash offers, but I had no idea the percentage was that high.
Yeah, I had one client I met with recently that said, we're not doing that. We want a cash offer. I said, you got it. We'll make it happen. But it's really a nice system because you can avoid showings. You don't have to worry about open houses. You don't have to worry about strangers walking through your house. You don't have to worry about the buyer uncertainty of changing their mind over inspection, appraisal, loan approval, all that stuff. You only have to worry about the cash offer comes in. They will do an inspection. There might be a little bit more negotiations on inspection, which is normal. But other than that, they do what they say they're going to do. And I've already got experience of these cash offers going all the way through the process that they promised. Now, some of our cash buyers will pay full market value, even slightly over market value, because they think, hey, if we improve the house according to where we think it will sell, we think it will sell for more. So we'll offer you this much money, we'll hold back a little bit of equity, and then when we resell it, you will get that holdback money back plus any upside if it sells for more. And a lot of times remodeled homes will sell for more. We also have some fabulous buy before you sell programs. Two lenders will let you go pick your next house. They will pay cash for it up to $2 million and then give you time to sell your current home without bridge financing and without a sale contingency. You are responsible for rent on the new home, but the rent payments don't start for a while. So it gives you that head start to get your house on the market and get it sold the right way. We also have our various guaranteed sale programs where you get an offer up front. We guarantee your buyer's home. So let's say your buyer has a house to sell. Most agents present their offers that way. Say, oh, we love your house, but we have a house to sell. Will you reserve your home for me and wait for me to sell my home? And oh, by the way, it is or isn't on the market, and we don't know when it's going to sell. Most sellers don't want to eat that uncertainty. So what happens is that those offers get rejected, or some sellers take the risk, take their house off the market because the MLS rules require that we tell the world it's not available, even though it really technically is. And other buyers pass it by. So if you want solutions, call us because we offer all kinds of solutions. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. Give us a call, 719-301-3900. We'll come out and show you our offers, give you an idea on all the options, cash offers, buy before you sell, or the traditional market process, and you can choose what's best for you. Our website, barbhasthebuyers.com, or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
Barb, you and your team are the only company I ever recommend to people out there who are thinking of selling their homes and downsizing to a smaller home. How can people get more information?
Well, go to barbhasthebuyers.com. There's a little green button that says cash offers. You can get your cash offers today. It'll go directly to that website and spit out some offers for you. And then give us a call after that, and we can go over the detail and present them and give you the detail in person. Richard?
And I want to be clear, Barb, a cash offer still gets the guarantee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They do what they say they're going to do.
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, host of the program. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to choose the right real estate agent and why it could cost you thousands if you don't. Plus, Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss that.
And Richard, I'm sorry, I forgot to hit save on that segment. The next topic is, what are the top seller mistakes that can cause buyers to actually reject that home?
I can do that.
When we come back.
And because I fumbled it a little
No,
bit.
I had it in the script and I thought I'd copy, but sometimes I forget to hit save. So segment 4 is the top.
Yeah, I've got it here.
Okay.
I'll do it again. 3, 2, 1. When we come back, we'll be discussing top 5 sellers' mistakes that repel buyers from buying your home. Plus, Barb's hot new listings. You don't want to miss any of that. Is that right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. There we are. You know, it's funny. I love cut and paste, and it's so much easier now. I remember when word processors first came out, it was like, oh my God, check this out. But there was a part of me that still really did like the old actually cut and paste kind of the fun of doing it that way. It never looked as good, but it was more like arts and crafts or something. All right. Let's see here. Oh, wait, I need to check something here. Hang on. All right. Okay, ready to go on four. I'll count us down in three, two, one. I'm Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, most home sellers have a great deal of love for their properties, and sometimes that translates into, well, unrealistic beliefs resulting in mistakes that could cost them thousands or the house actually not selling. What are the top seller mistakes that can cause buyers to take a pass on a home that they may be looking at?
Well, Richard, a lot of people have different perceptions about what their home value is. Some people think it's based on the money that they put into it. Some people think it's based on what Zillow says it's worth, which Zillow is always wrong. They're basically relying on the average of the homes that are active for sale, not the ones that have sold. So it's really bad data. But at the end of the day, the market decides what the home is going to sell for, not the seller, not the real estate agent, not Zillow, not anybody else. And you can tell right away from the time you go on the market whether or not you got it right. Now, it's very important for home sellers to be very objective about their house when it's time to sell. Everybody has a massive opinion of their house, like it's worth this much because of this, right? But you have to take a look at the home as objectively as you can through the buyer's eyes. Little simple things can repel buyers, like dramatic paint, dramatic carpet in particular, like brazen hussy red shag carpet. That's not going to work. Homes that need work, generally there's a pretty good percentage of the buyers that won't go for a home like that because they don't want to do work like that. However, what's happening more lately is a lot of the buyers have figured out they can get a renovation loan and actually finance up to 75,000 into their loan and be able to get a really good deal on a house and make it their own that way. So I think people are more forgiving about condition these days than they have been in the past. But one of the more important things is failing to make improvements. Can't I just give a carpet credit? Can't I, should I plan on repairing that thing that I knew had to be repaired and just see if the buyer asks for it? They're going to ask for it. And a lot of people price that into their sales price. But at the end of the day, if the home isn't repaired, fresh, move-in ready, the buyers generally are going to ask for those repairs, and they don't expect that the home should be priced higher based on that stuff. In other words, they think that if their home needs some work, then that work should be funded by the seller because they consider it to be deferred maintenance versus just, and the way you can tell is just compare your house to a brand new home, right? Brand new homes sell like crazy. Why? They offer incentives. They're brand new. They're fresh. They take care of everything. They do landscaping. They warranty the house. All new appliances. Sometimes they throw in window coverings and a garage door opener. They used to not do that a number of years ago. buyers tend to really, really eat up the cosmetic improvements, but you still have to take care of broken things, and you can't increase the price based on that. It just never really works. When you get ready for pictures and showings, that's one thing that's hard for people because most everybody has a lot of stuff around them. I know I do at home. I try to beat it down with the stick, but it's pretty hard sometimes to stay on top of the clutter that accumulates as you go into and out of a home, and you just get used to looking at it. Well, the buyers don't want to see it. They want to see model homes, right? And not everybody is a model home. Not everybody is an updated home, but there's some really simple things that you can do that cost virtually nothing, just a little bit of effort to make your home more attractive. Take your camera on your phone, take pictures of that home and blow up those pictures on an iPad or a computer and just have that stuff look back at you. It will tell you right away if you have too much furniture, too much clutter, too much junk on the floor, too much junk on the counter. It will tell you right away. Another mistake is waiting to make improvements. I remember I had one client that finally replaced the main level carpet, which you didn't notice when they had furniture, but after they moved furniture out, man, oh man, when you vacate a home, every little detail, every little problem shows up loud and clear. So they really had to make those improvements. And as soon as they did that, we got a full price offer. So it's really interesting how that happens. Pricing, pricing, pricing. I know I talk about pricing an awful lot on the show, but it's critical. If you overprice a home, you're going to net less money. If you price at or below current market values, you will net the most money. It's just that simple. You want to be the best home at the best price in your neighborhood for that size home. That means in this market that's declining, price it very realistically versus over optimistically. And we can show you exactly how to do that. The wrong price triggers buyer resistance. In other words, they won't even show up. They know the market better than many real estate agents do because they are studying, they're shopping, they're studying, looking for what is available in their area, in their price range. They can sense a deal a mile away. And if they see it's overpriced or they're not willing to pay it, they vote with their feet. They don't show up. It leads to price reductions and the home seller over time netting less money. Pricing is the first impression. It's the first impression before they look at photos. Why is that? Because a lot of buyers search in a range. Okay, I have a budget. I want to spend between 450 and 500. That means that they're not going to be looking at homes over 500, right? So if you didn't price it in that range where it belongs, it won't show up in their search. Every buyer sees the price well before they see photos, videos, descriptions, ads, anything like that. It is absolutely critical decision. The other thing is when you price too high, demand slows, inventory builds, and adjustments will follow. And so if you gradually walk the price down, I call it following the market down while the market is correcting, you're actually going to net less money. There's just no other way around it. It's not just Barb talking. It's more about statistics that people have researched for years and years before I was in real estate. If you price it right, you're going to get the most eyes on the home in the first 7 to 30 days. And you have to make sure you do it right very quickly. When you price it right, especially if it's new to the market, it creates urgency and momentum. In other words, the buyers don't want other buyers to get the house. It attracts serious qualified buyers, and it increases the chance of you being in the best nirvana position for real estate, having multiple offers and being able to pick your best buyer. Some clues. If you look on Zillow, if you look at the ratio of Zillow views to Zillow saves, if you're getting 10% or more, really good sign. Showing volume, really good sign. What's normal showing? Not once every 2 weeks. A normal good showing volume is about 6 or more a week. If it's more than that, it's going to sell. Images are critical. I'm showing a picture of a very cluttered kitchen with magnets on the refrigerator, doggy gates, doggy bowls, all kinds of stuff on the counter, all kinds of stuff on top of the refrigerator. It repels buyers. Even not professionally done photos can repel buyers. And another mistake that a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but now more than ever, you could probably have sold your own home in 2020 through 2022 without any problem and probably done just fine because it was this artificially inflated, explosive market. But not now. And according to the studies of the National Association of Realtors, people that sell their home for sale by owner actually net as much as 70,000 less than what they would have gotten had they put it on the open market. Plus, there's all kinds of issues that you could run into. I had one home seller recently, say, "Oh, the neighbor wants to buy the house." I'm like, "Okay, can the neighbor buy? Do you know? Are they pre-qualified? And of course, that buyer ghosted her when she asked that question. So that kind of thing happens all the time. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to find out what your home will sell for, what to do to get your home ready for sale, look at some of our cash offers as an optional way to sell your home. Give us a call at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719 301 3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. All right, Barb, your favorite time, lightning round of some of your hot new listings. Tell us about them.
Absolutely. So I have a Briargate Beauty, 8042 Scarborough Drive in Fairfax and Briargate, priced in the low fives. Beautiful 2-story, all luxury vinyl flooring, priced in the low fives. We have another one up in Jackson Creek on Agate Creek, priced in the mid sixes with stunning views. An amazing home on almost 3 acres in Divide, overlooking a fishing pond. So you get to watch the duck and the geese fly in there and fish. And it's priced at $699. Beautiful home. We also have another rancher out on Jorba Grove in the low sixes on 35 acres with gorgeous views. Perfect for hobby farm or extra critters. We have a fabulous home on Reno Road down in Pueblo, over 62 acres, priced at $599. Beautiful ranch on Cascading Spring Circle. This gorgeous home is basically very much a smart home that you could pack up and leave for a couple months and come back and it'll still be perfect. We have a beautiful home in Fountain. It's actually downtown. It's a multi-use property where you could have your business on the main level and live on the upper 2 levels. Beautiful 2-story on Moose, I can't say that, Moose Jaw in Colorado Springs off of Black Forest and close to Woodman, priced in the low sixes. A home in Crystal Park on Sugarloaf, beautiful views with solar in the mid to upper sevens. A great rancher on Mead Avenue in the lower threes. Spectacular 2-story on Balsam Street at $474,999 with a 3-car garage. Great home with a VA assumable loan at $369 down in Pueblo on Gold King. Beautiful home on 5 acres in out in Peyton Pines on Warriors Path in the low sixes. Couple of stunning homes. We've got one just hitting the market today on 258 Kettle Valley Drive with amazing views at $970. Gorgeous home on 35 acres on County Road 421. Another gorgeous home on 40 acres on Private Road 17, $1,099,000 with a detached building and a barn. And oh, by the way, we have a whole bunch of off-market homes that we can offer to our clients that gives you insider access to some of the best buys. So if you'd like to find out about those, go to barbhasthebuyers.com and give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every weekend. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719 301 3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Remember, you can see replays of the show at barbhasthebuyers.com or listen to the podcast on all of the popular podcast platforms like Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many others. Thanks for listening. To reach out to Barb, number again is 719 301 3900. Thank you and have a great week. Talk to you soon, Barb.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Bam.
Bam.
All right. Hang on one second. I have that visualization every time of just bing and she comes popping out of the toaster and you know, I do have to say that managing expectations is huge. And I think there are a lot of people out there, Barb, that just the idea of managing an expectation, they're just not experienced enough to even consider how important it is or whatever. But, you know, if I had some of these Pop Tart folks and others representing me, and the expectation was I was going to get Barb Schlinker, you know, type representation, and they get instead what they get, man, I would not be a happy person. All right. How to sell a house when the market prices are dropping. How smart sellers receive multiple offers even in a declining market. I like that one. How to sell your home for cash without showing stress and without contract failures. I like that one too. Or top 5 seller mistakes that repel buyers from the home. What are you thinking, Barb?
I'm thinking
I kind of
I
like the
go ahead.
cash.
Which one?
I like the cash without showing stress or contract failure. Actually, I think, David likes that one too.
Okay, we'll go with that.
All right. Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, airs every Saturday from 11 until noon, right after Cudlow, here on 740 KVOR. This weekend, Barb's talking about how to sell your home for cash without showings, stress, or without contract failures. That'll work. All right. I'll
All
say
right.
goodbye, kick him across the hall, and
Thank you guys. Have a good week.
you too. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.